2024 proved to be yet another unforgettable year, one that saw many changes which will be recorded in the annals of history. And the major news events affected the political landscape, energy sector, national security and crime, amongst others. I'm Sigoni Mohammed and we'll be breaking down the top 12 news topics of 2024. And that's not all.
That's right, Sigoni. I'm Nasira Mohammed, and what a journey 2024 has been in sport. Healthy returns for West Indies cricket, outstanding youth performances at gymnastics and swimming, plus a massive appointment at the helm of TNT football.
Let's begin.
Crime and criminality continue to be a major concern in Trinidad and Tobago for yet another year. This year, crime continued to affect women and children, with several examples of them tragically losing their lives. And there was also a surprise move in the Ministry of National Security to deal with issues in the police service. However, as of December 25th, the country's murder toll surpassed 600. Let's take a look. Just 2 days into 2024, the country's murder toll stood at 3, with a 19-year-old woman being the victim of a shooting. Tanisha Jackie was leaving a party around midnight when tragedy struck. Jackie was shot to death, and a 30-year-old man, Tyrone Best, was left injured. Just days prior to the beginning of 2024, Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines said he was more optimistic that the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service would arrest the crime situation.
If you permit me a metaphor, I think we at National Security have spent some time in the gym. We've done some gym work. We put on some thighs, we put on some chest, we put on some muscle. We've sturdied up our backbone by providing more training to our police officers and members of the law enforcement, the defense force.
On February 22nd, 12-year-old Ezekiel Parrier was shot and killed while playing by the roadside. Commissioner of Police Ula Christopher described the crime as senseless, noting that this incident cut deep as a young life was lost. And the mayhem continued into the month of March as 11 people were killed in one weekend. On the morning of March 16th, a brazen shooting at Harp Place in Port of Spain claimed the lives of 5 men and left 4 injured. A police sergeant was among the 5 that were killed. Police believed that the shooting was a reprisal for the murder of 12-year-old Ezekiel Parrier. But despite the ongoing crime situation, government continued its efforts with the signing of an agreement with the United States aimed at ensuring there are fewer corrupt police elements within the TTPS. And in order to continue waging war on gang violence, the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force received 2 drones from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in November to enhance the country's approach to illicit firearm detection and investigations. And Member of Parliament for Port of Spain South, Keith Scotland, was sworn in as Minister in the Ministry of National Security. Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines said Minister Scotland brings a wealth of experience as a practicing criminal attorney for a number of years. Another incident that rocked the country's core was when the remains of an 18-year-old girl identified as Hannah Mathura was found buried in the backyard of her Valstein home. She was allegedly killed 7 years prior. A post-mortem conducted on her remains revealed that she was shot in her head. Her parents, Andrew and Alana Mathura, were subsequently arrested and charged on October 15th. Hannah's mother, Alana, died 17 days after being incarcerated in connection with her child's death. 1 month after learning of Hannah's fate, the nation lost a 4-year-old baby girl to the hands of a cold-blooded murderer. On April 8th, Amara Lalit's decapitated remains were found inside of her 5th Street Aruca home. An autopsy revealed she died of blunt force trauma to the head and decapitation, leading to the arrest of a 39-year-old male relative. And later in the year, around August 20th, around 9:45 p.m., 35-year-old Enrico Guerra and his 5-year-old daughter were shot and killed. Guerra was at his business place when a masked gunman pursued him and shot him to death. 5-year-old Anika Guerra was also shot several times about the body. And in October, a family was left shattered as Tara Ramsarup and her 1-year-old daughter Jada were tragically chopped to death. The suspect was a man whom the woman shared a relationship with for 10 years. Tara's sister, Jasodra Ramjaram, said she saw her sister suffer at the hands of her common-law husband and always encouraged her sister to leave. 2024 also saw an increase in extortion. The TTPS noted an increased involvement of children being perpetrators of the crime and urged members of the public to cooperate with the police and report such instances. I am Daniel John for TTT Year in Focus.
Trinidad and Tobago has made significant progress in digitalization, leveraging technology for development. Isn't that so, Shirley?
That's right, Sigoni. And for 2024, the Ministry of Digital Transformation has made significant strides towards this goal by way of implementing the digitization of key agencies, providing the citizenry with access to ICT training, and much more. Here's a look.
In the thrust towards a digital economy, government's plans rest on 3 pillars: digital government, digital society, and digital literacy. These pillars are key to taking TNT into the future and transforming our society. One of the first initiatives in this respect came earlier this year via the digital government, which saw the digitization of government information, which will be evident from the increasing amount of information and services freely available on government websites. The digitalization of business processes through the adoption of appropriate digital technology. As a matter of fact, the Ministry of Social Development and Family Services is one of the first ministries to embark on this route, engaging in the digitizing of client records across service delivery units and departments. In September 2024, Trinidad and Tobago signed an agreement with NPCI International Payments Limited for the development of secure and efficient payment platform for both person-to-person, person-to-merchant, and government-to-person transactions. Another aspect of this digital transformation thrust came via the Digital Society, which is about ensuring that everyone has access to affordable ICTs. And in October, a number of ICT-related courses were offered free to citizens of all ages to ensure digital literacy skills are properly developed within the society. The conversation about cashless transactions is well underway, with government exploring several options. The government is confident that these developments will position Trinidad and Tobago as a regional leader in digital transformation. Charlene Lewis for TTT's Year in Focus.
2024 was an eventful year in the local energy sector. Trinidad and Tobago was able to secure access to a second Venezuelan gas field, close off a successful shallow water bid round, and oversaw the implementation of the new terms for Atlantic LNG. Let's check it out. In January, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, Stuart Young, reported to Parliament that Cabinet took a collective decision to send the report from the Paria inquiry to the Director of Public Prosecutions. This saw the closing of the ministry's input into the investigation of the drowning of 4 divers during an operation at the Paria Fuel Trading Company in February 2022. In March, Minister Young led a team to Algiers in the Democratic Republic of Algeria for the Gas Exporting Countries Forum. There, he would advocate for natural gas and energy security. As the year progressed, the United States of America's Office of Foreign Assets Control issued a General License 44, which governs sanctions related to the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. The license authorized the wind down of transactions related to oil or gas sector operations in Venezuela. This was TNT's second OFAC license. The first was for the Dragon Field, and this one was for the Coquina Maniquin Field. In response to the devastating impact of Hurricane Beryl on the islands of Grenada and Carriacou in July, the government, through the Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries, coordinated with PARIA to deliver an emergency supply of fuel to both islands at no cost to the government of Grenada. A total of 380 barrels of high-sulfur diesel were successfully delivered to Carriacou, and 820 barrels of ultra-low sulfur diesel were delivered to Grenada. Ministry of Energy and Energy Industries mid-year closed the 2023-2024 shallow water competitive bidding round, for which 3 major companies bid for the opportunity to explore oil and gas locally. In October, the new terms of agreement for Atlantic LNG took effect. In November, Shell, McDermott, and Trinidad Offshore Fabricators Unlimited hosted a ceremonial simulation of steel cutting to signal the commencement of the local fabrication phase for the Manatee project at the Tofco Yard, Le Bray Industrial Estate. The local fabrication of jackets and piles, legs and supporting frame for the Manatee platform kicked off in December. The Manatee jacket is notably the largest jacket to be built locally at Tofco's Yard. I am Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell for TTT's Year in Focus.
One of our flagship segments is giving you a reason to feel good. Isn't that so, Marity?
Yes, Sigoni. Feeling happy and enjoying the lighter, warmer moments of life. This is the appreciation which TTT brings every night for the nation. Let's recap those moments.
We begin by looking at our elders, those who have lived past the regular limits of life. Here we see Mr. Woods. Nothing can stop him from relishing his family, love for them, and their love for him.
People ask me, "Oh, you're looking so good." I say, yes. I just behave myself.
Ms. Naomi Rogers, a teacher who never had her own children but took many under her wing.
To my mind, teaching is the most important profession that you can find. Because everybody, doctor, lawyer, prime minister, you, all of us, we must go through the hand of a teacher.
And for the nation and the TTT network, Christmas in July brought fuzzy feelings as a meal ignited that special spirit.
We from the Production and Operations Department decided to host a little Christmas in July celebration. We brought all the departments around us, engineering, programming, HR, and production, to have a little get-together to foster some unity between departments.
And every year, mismatched socks symbolize the spirit of Down syndrome. Many employees at TTT rock to the fashion to remember those whose brain works differently. And what could make us feel better than children with their innocence and love of activity? These little people help us appreciate swimming and fun in the pool. These little tykes have talent to tear at the heartstrings as they sing their hearts out for Christmas. Keeping the small ones safe is a top priority, and road safety training keeps them protected while going out onto the nation's streets. Police officers partnered with a kindergarten to ensure the small ones are sheltered from harm while having fun.
What color means go? Green. But what does this mean? Stop. So when you see the red stop sign, what do you need to do?
And don't underestimate these little kids who can do business too. The Gandhi Memorial Vedic School worked with the young students to teach them to be self-sufficient when it comes to money.
Started off in 2020, simply as an initiative to teach children financial literacy and to make them aware that they could be contributing citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. If even they don't get a job by a company or the ministry, they can become self-sufficient.
Being satisfied with your lot and experiencing even just one moment of happiness for the day. Let's feel good every night with TTT.
Being satisfied with your lot and experiencing even just one moment of happiness for the day.
Let's feel good every evening with TTT.
Government is hoping to move into 2025 steadfast and resolute, forging pathways to prosperity. And Stacey Ann has the details.
That's right, Sigoni. It was the theme of the $59.7 billion budget. And with general elections due next year, prior to the presentation, many speculated that the 2024-2025 fiscal package would be a sweetheart or election budget.
On one hand, you have to legally and legitimately raise revenue. And on the other hand, you must balance it also with legal and legitimate expenditure. And that is one of the most important tasks that a government has: fiscal maturity and responsibility.
This is how Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister and Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, Stuart Young, described the 2024-2025 fiscal package presented by Finance Minister Com Imbert on September 30th this year. Since then, several initiatives have been introduced. Among them, a tax amnesty giving taxpayers until December 31st the opportunity to pay their outstanding taxes. An amnesty for national insurance payments was also granted. Come January 1st, 2025, here are a few of the budget proposals we can look forward to. The Finance Minister proposed to eliminate all taxes on electric vehicles charging equipment to assist with reduction of carbon emissions and to meet the country's climate change undertakings. And to encourage healthier lifestyles at a cost of $20 million, the government plans to exempt all sporting equipment from taxes and duties, with the exception of clothing. A promise was also made to address existing ambiguities in tax laws that affect the interpretation of agricultural goods and equipment, with an aim to making agriculture a tax-free industry. The commitment for the first quarter of 2025. The $1,000 book grant introduced in fiscal 2024 will continue in fiscal 2025, applying the same means test used in 2024. And there are plans to launch an after-school CSEC mathematics tuition project across 26 secondary schools for those students who need help. And to deal with the housing challenge, government proposed to increase the funding for the Housing and Village Improvement Program, the HVIP, from $150,000 to $200,000 per starter house on flat land, and further adjustments for houses built on difficult terrain. I am Stacey Ann Providence for TTT Year in Focus.
2024 was a year of fantastic firsts for Trinidad and Tobago culture. From groundbreaking grandstand galleries to unlikely monarchs and national instrument designations, our twin island state put on a show worthy of acclaimed Hollywood actress Felicia Rashad's statement: "The color, the rhythm, the magic is Trinidad and Tobago." Let's take a look.
Opening the year's festivities, the much-anticipated 2024 Carnival season, set to a backdrop of Road March winner DNA by Mikhail Teja, saw the first de-Carnival gallery in the Grandstand foyer. 10-time Road March winner Marshall Montano crowned first-time Calypso monarch.
Professor Hollis Liverpool, Dr. Rudolph Utley, Chrisson Joseph, son of the mighty penguin, without whom I would not have written this calypso.
Lost Tribe nabbing both Large Band and Overall Band of the Year, and a historic tie between the BP Renegade Steel Orchestra and Massey Trinidad All-Stars at Panorama. And the magic did not stop there. The steel pan received the official seal of approval as our national musical instrument in July. Bridging July and August were expanded emancipation celebrations in Trinidad and Tobago, commemorating the 186th anniversary of emancipation. September saw Queen's Hall Auditorium renamed the Winifred Atwell Auditorium, after one of our most popular Trinidadian pianists, who even inspired the career of Sir Elton John. And October found the entire nation tuning into TTT's live stream of the Diwali Nagar, visually indulging in everything from henna to a friendly face-off between Indian chole bhature and local doubles. Closing out October was Tobago October Carnival, replete with magnificent monarchs of mass, and young Jaheim Verse Thomas crowned 2024 Soca Titan just 2 days after his 19th birthday. Closing off the year was the opening of the Parang season, with Parang going back to basics, taking the message of Jesus Christ to every home and community. December 2024 concludes a bombshell year for Trinidad and Tobago culture. Stacia Yearwood, TTT Year in Focus News.
Welcome back. The health sector has gone through major changes and challenges for 2024. Ayana has been tracking the developments.
Indeed, Sigoni. Unfortunately, tragedy regarding 11 neonates at the Port of Spain General Hospital dominated news headlines for several weeks, as well as several deaths through suspected suicide, which has pushed the mental health conversation into the light. We also saw the introduction of new technology and programs that have certainly promised to make this sector more efficient and customer focused. Let's take a look.
The Ministry of Health received the lion's share of the budgetary allocation for 2025 at a total of $7.571 billion. Minister of Finance Colum Imbert, during his delivery of the budget estimates for 2024-2025, explained that the government is committed to investing heavily in public health, focusing on prevention, early detection and treatment. The minister also highlighted several projects which have been completed or in various stages of completion. The Northwest Regional Health Authority, through a press release, advised of the deaths of 7 premature babies at the neonatal intensive care unit of the Port of Spain General Hospital between April 4th and April 7th. Lab testing revealed the presence of 3 organisms which are known to be fatal to vulnerable neonates. Minister of Health Terence Dialsing reported to the Parliament that in response to the situation, the NICU was immediately closed to new admissions to prevent further transmission of the infection. Rigorous sanitization and sterilization measures were also implemented. The minister assured that no new infections have occurred since April 7th, and the hospital NICU began accepting new admissions from April 10th. Investigations were immediately launched. The NWRHA, Ministry of Health, and the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, were expected to submit reports. The numbers increased from 7 to 8, then 12, though some were deemed unrelated to the original cluster deaths. Parents, through their attorneys' Freedom Law Chambers, filed lawsuits against the NWRHA. In June, the PAHO report was laid in the lower house after a 3-member team conducted an independent, 5-day intense and thorough investigation. The 2024-2025 influenza season, which runs from October to May, was officially launched in September. Vaccines were made available to the public at all health centers. Mass vaccination sites were also set up. July 2024 recorded the highest number of dengue cases for the year. Technical Director of the Epidemiology Division, Dr. Avery Hines, explained that from January 1st to September 12th, there were 1,387 confirmed cases and 16 confirmed deaths. In the last epidemiological update in November, there were 2,004 lab-confirmed cases and 19 confirmed deaths. Technology continued to be at the forefront with the digitalisation of health records, the launch of an autoclave unit at the San Fernando General Hospital, the first of its kind in the public health sector, and the introduction of 8 medical healthcare robots to various regional health authorities. funded by the government of India for US $1 million. The project is a partnership between the TNT government, PAHO, WHO, and the UN Resident Coordinator's Office.
We never know where our technological advances will take us. But today, we are here in Trinidad and Tobago adopting robotics and AI, things that we have been speaking about theoretically, and it is here.
I am Ayana Carter for TTT Year in Focus.
As we reflect on the year's major events, one of the most significant natural disasters was Hurricane Beryl. And while Trinidad and Tobago escaped the worst, other Caribbean islands like Carriacou bore the brunt of this Category 5 storm. Here's a look back at the devastation and also the aid extended by our nation. Hurricane Beryl, officially named on June 30th, 2024, quickly became one of the most intense storms of the Atlantic hurricane season. Within just 24 hours, Beryl intensified into a Category 4 hurricane on the Saffir-Simpson scale, with maximum sustained winds of 215 kilometers per hour as it made landfall in the eastern Caribbean. Beryl's path across the Grenadines on July 1st left a trail of devastation in its wake. Carriacou, a dependency of Grenada, was hit hardest. In preparation for the storm, the Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service issued advisories to ensure public safety. Trinidad was placed under tropical storm watch, while Tobago was under a hurricane watch. Across the region, hurricane warnings were issued for Barbados, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Though Hurricane Beryl narrowly missed Trinidad and Tobago, the outer bands brought heavy rains and gusty winds. As the storm battered Carriacou, neighboring Trinidad and Tobago demonstrated unwavering solidarity. Local organizations, including CTT and the Heart of the Village Foundation, quickly mobilized relief efforts. The Ministry of Public Utilities also played a crucial role, dispatching a team from TNTEC to restore power to the island. Their efforts ensured that Carriacou's electricity grid was operational within days. Beryl's devastation underscored the vulnerability of small islands to increasingly severe weather, a growing concern in the face of climate change. Carrie Roberts, TTT Year in Focus.
"2024, the year before the next general election is due, saw several parliamentarians contemplating their political future with new faces entering the ring. Sunil breaks it down for us.
That's right, Siguni. The last 12 months also saw 2 by-elections, an internal party election, and hints on a possible step down from the helm. Constitutional reform was also on the agenda very early in the year when Prime Minister Dr. Kidrowli announced the appointment of a 7-member advisory committee to formulate the terms of reference for a national consultation on the issue. And a bit of sad news, Siguni, to end the year was the death of former Arima Mayor and Minister in the Ministry of Education, Lisa Morris-Julian, who perished in a fire along with 2 other family members. Here's the entire roundup. June 17, 2024 was the day set for the by-elections for the electoral districts of Lengua, Indian Walk and Queenam, Mon Diablo. In August 2023, the Elections and Boundaries Commission announced that the Lengua Indian Walk electoral district would be recontested after both the PNM and UNC representatives tied with 1,428 votes during the local government election. The People's National Movement's candidate in the Lengua Indian Walk by-election, Pastor Otley Grantham, declared victory over the United National Congress's Nicole Gopal and the independent contender Peterson Morales. Pastor Grantham shared his views following the win.
And I'm proud tonight of the PNM government, whom has found me fit to accept to serve in this capacity, and certainly I commit myself to represent them and to represent them proudly, make them feel proud of all that I do, and also to meet the needs of the residents.
And the UNC's Sarah Sukdeer emerged victorious for the Queenam Mon Diablo district over the PNM's candidate Anderson Nanan, with the UNC party leader Kamla Prasad-Bisesa making a statement following the results.
Tonight, in Queenam Mon Diablo, in the constituency of Superior, we declare a landslide victory.
But that wasn't it for the elections. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar had some competition in the UNC's internal election. Rushton Paris United Patriots contested the June 15th elections with Tabakit MP Anita Haynes-Allen and Komoto Manzanilla MP Dr. Rai Rakber contesting the post of deputy political leader. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar, who led the star team, announced a landslide victory for all 17 stars in the election.
And voted with landslide. It has been a landslide victory.
And just days later, on June 21st, Dr. Rai Rakber returned heads when he voted in contradiction to the opposition's stance on a bill in Parliament.
Mr. Rambali? No. Dr. Agbir?
Yes.
Following this, though, the emergence of the word dissident roamed around the media landscape to refer to 5 members of the opposition who challenged the opposition leader in the election. By September, when the new parliament session was in progress, the 5 MPs, Rodney Charles, Komoto Manzanilla MP Dr. Rai Rakber, Chaguanas West MP Dinesh Rambali, Miaro MP Rushton Parry and Tabakit MP Anita Haynes-Allen were moved from their usual seats to sit together at the front end. Meanwhile, another possible election was on the horizon with regards to the PNM internal election, but in October, the party announced via media release that the 51st annual convention as well as the internal election, originally scheduled for Sunday, November 17, 2024, was cancelled. And following that, views began to be expressed where the Prime Minister on October 10th wrapped up his budget debate with what some call as his swan song.
I don't know how much longer I will have in this Parliament, but I've done my duty and I've kept the course. I've run the race and I look forward, not for a pot of gold, but for my family at the end of this rainbow. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
And after that, heads began to roll, with many predicting a fight between Minister Foster Cummings and Minister Stuart Young to lead the party. But this was quickly put to rest. Minister Cummings himself said there was no post to contest political leader. Meanwhile, there was some activity from third parties in 2024, notably Michaela Pandey talking about the possibility of a patriotic front contesting seats in the next general election.
To those afraid of change, my father used to say, there is nothing too fair but fear itself. On this historical day, the Patriotic Front issues a call to all who share in our vision.
And as the year drew to a close, the opposition leader moved to hold a meeting with other parties, following which prompted a response from the Congress of the People, which said there was no real concrete talks to form a coalition. In mid-December also came the news of former COP leader Prakash Ramada returning to the helm as interim leader of the party. Closing the year, the shocking news that rocked the country was the death of Minister in the Ministry of Education Lisa Morris-Julian, who perished in a fire along with a couple of her family relatives. Several cabinet and government ministers were in disbelief as they visited the scene, including Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, Minister Camille Robinson-Regis, and Education Minister Dr. Nian Gadsby-Dolly. Samalala, TTT News.
The discussion surrounding property tax has remained a national issue throughout 2024. After an almost 15-year hiatus, the government has decided to re-implement the collection of property tax previously known as land and building tax. The taxation policy aims to provide additional funding for essential services and development for projects across central and local government. Currently, property tax only affects residential property owners. Here's more.
Property tax is by no means a new system of taxation in Trinidad and Tobago. This century-old legislation, previously known as the Land and Building Tax, was suspended in 2010 before being amended to become the Property Tax Act. According to Minister of Finance Colm Imbert, the government has implemented several key adjustments to effectively roll out the new property tax regime.
Firstly, in response to public feedback and our commitment to fairness, this government reduced the property tax rate from 3% to 2% in 2024, thereby alleviating the financial burden on property and ensuring that the new system is both equitable and manageable.
In addition to the reduction of the property tax rates, the government has also taken into consideration members of the public who may be unable to afford property tax payments due to their financial situation. According to Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Brian Manning, if you believe the property tax valuation that you have received is too much for you to pay, you are free to file for an exemption. The government has also worked toward making payments more accessible to citizens through the introduction of an online payment option. Property owners have been given multiple extensions to pay their property taxes without penalty, with the latest extension being granted by the Ministry of Finance set to December 20th, 2024. Additionally, the Minister of Finance said those who have not yet received their property tax assessments from the Board of Inland Revenue will not be penalized. Jason John, TTT Year in Focus.
2024 proved to be a turbulent year for the Strategic Services Agency, the SSA, and Mahalia has been tracking it closely.
Yes, according the agency faced intense scrutiny, leadership changes, and an ongoing investigation into allegations of compromised operations. Here's a look back at the key developments that shaped the agency's year, as reported by TTT.
The Strategic Services Agency, SSA, dominated headlines early in the year when Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley announced the removal of the agency's director. Dr. Rowley emphasized that the decision was based on critical information from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, TTPS, which flagged significant concerns at the agency. As the year progressed, during a parliament sitting, the Prime Minister defended his administration's swift action. Upon his return from an official visit to India in May of 2024, Dr. Rowley addressed further questions about the SSA leadership shakeup. He stated that the investigation was still active, with the TTPS and other relevant agencies continuing to follow the evidence.
We have been blindsided by this agency, but fortunately the government was able to be informed at an early stage, and we approached it with vigor and commitment. There is an ongoing, very serious investigation that is taking place. And as I said before, some of what has been unearthed in this investigation has been quite troublesome.
National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hinds dismissed speculation and reaffirmed the government's commitment to transparency. Subsequently, in July, Minister Hinds was questioned on the details shared with government in the Senate by independent Senator Dr. Paul Richards. By year-end, the government maintained that the swift removal of retired Major Roger Best as SSA director was necessary to safeguard national security. Minister Hinds confirmed that the agency had undergone significant internal audits to rebuild public trust and ensure operational integrity. While investigations remain ongoing, the government has promised further updates as efforts to restore confidence in the agency continue. Mahalia Joseph Wharton, TTT Year in Focus.
2024 proved to be a year of revelations for Tobago, from new signs to new secretarial appointments and amendments to the Tobago Autonomy Bills. Here's Caricia Douglas with more.
In our first revelation, we turn to the Tobago House of Assembly. For months, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine hinted at plans of a reshuffle of his TTT administration. On May 13th, it was revealed that Secretary of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, Terence Baines, was demoted to an Assistant Secretary, while Assistant Secretary Joel Sampson took up this portfolio. All other Assistant Secretaries received new assignments. This year was also Chief Secretary Augustine's last year as Finance Secretary. On June 6th, during the THA's budget debate, it was announced that Chief Management Accountant Petal Ann Roberts will take over the job and was sworn in as a councillor. Tobago's Waters also made revelations. On the morning of April 26th, what many said has never been seen on the island occurred. Tobago was shaken and gained international attention when British tourist Peter Smith was attacked by a shark and severely injured while bathing at Turtle Beach.
Nobody saw the shark coming. And even while the shark was around and doing the attack, the other people in the water were physically trying to fight off the shark.
And on the lighter side of revelations, this year there were several road infrastructure renamings, including streets and roundabouts. Autonomy became a hot topic once more. The Tobago House of Assembly's Minority and the People's National Movement pushed forcefully, calling for the Farley-led administration to support the bills that were before Parliament. The bills were brought before the House of Representatives Committee stage for vote on December 9th. While the Tobago Island Government Bill was approved, the Constitution Amendment Bill was not, as the opposition voted against it.
The motion for the third reading of the Constitution Amendment Tobago Self-Government Bill 2020 is not approved.
The pulse is rising as the THA's administration's term comes to an end, signaling fresh THA elections are on the horizon. Tobagonians await what further revelations will be made. I am Carissa Douglas for TTT Year in Focus.
For yet another year, youth took center stage in national development efforts, and Karen is here to tell us all about it.
Yes, Sagoni, well, the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service continues to focus on the 18 to 35 age group with a special emphasis on agriculture. Now, the government's strategy aims to cultivate a new generation of agri-entrepreneurs, tackling youth empowerment while reducing the country's multi-million-dollar food import bill. The Chatham Dairy Farm is now home to 159 young people who successfully completed a 2-year in-person training program known as the Youth Agricultural Homestead Program, or YAP. They received their licenses to occupy 2 acres of land to begin their agripreneurship journey.
Land ownership is a goal that many aspire to. It is something that we must inculcate into the minds of our young people, because not only will it serve them in their current stead, it is an investment in their children and future generations.
Similarly, the Shade House project equips young people with skills to produce high-value short-term crops, a project the Prime Minister believes would automatically put Trinidad and Tobago on a path to join the fight against NCDs. And the MyDNS believes the potential for aquaculture in Trinidad and Tobago is limitless in providing jobs and enhancing food security. Young people are also being equipped with the requisite skills for gainful employment in the oil and gas and construction sectors. A total of 114 people graduated from the Drilling Rig Operations Program, or DROP, and the Crane Operations Program, HOIST. Meanwhile, the FUSE Introductory Linesman Line Clearer Training Program prepares youth for potential employment in any field involving overhead lines and landscaping and tree trimming in a non-energized environment. Likewise, the Pipe Plumbing Skills Training Program, an apprenticeship program in plumbing, will meet the need for certified plumbers throughout Trinidad and Tobago and even the Caribbean. According to Minister Cummings, the MyDNS has impacted the lives of over 13,000 young people in Trinidad and Tobago and doesn't plan to stop at all, as the aim is to create employers as opposed to job seekers. I'm Karen Cozier-Phillip for TTT Year in Focus.
And that was a breakdown of the top 12 major news items for the year 2024. Let's take a fast break, and when we return, we head over to Sport with Nazira.